few minutes and see if we can get anyone in here. And I'm going to get my phone set up to check the chat. There we go. Hello and welcome if you're watching this. I am just going live just now, so I'm letting people get in. The video looks a little strange on my screen, so I'm going to check to see if I can fix that. I haven't really gone live much, so bear with me. Let's see. It's strange. It looks fine on the filming camera, but when I'm looking at my phone, it's looking a little compressed. So if you're watching, let me know in the comments what you're seeing on your end. And sorry for the squeaky desk chair. Okay. Yeah, it's looking a little strange. Well, I may just go with that for a little while and see what other people are seeing. And just kind of chat with you a little bit and test out the stream. All right, so what I have here is a bunch of cutout letters that I need to categorize into my kind of box of, I guess they're collage letters. Some people call them ransom note letters, but I like using them in zine making and in art journaling and things like that. So I've been sort of collecting letters. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of just do these as I feel like it. I'm not gonna like collect a big pile of letters and then put them in. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and start adding them as I see fit. I kind of like doing this just as a relaxation thing, so I thought it might be a nice one to go live while doing so that I can chat if people have questions. Okay, it is looking like maybe the video looks a little bit better, but if anybody joins, let me know if it looks weird on your end. Okay, let me go ahead and do this. Actually, I think I'll pull it closer and maybe readjust the video. There we go. That should be better. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and work on this. And if people come into the chat and have questions or want to chat with me, we can go ahead and do that. You're also getting the unfiltered version of me. So you'll hear me going and saying, we can go ahead and do that way too many times. Usually I get a chance to filter that out in my pre-filmed videos. But I'm trying to get more confident with live streaming because I think it's a useful way to connect with everyone, and I wanted to get more comfortable with that. I also have to try to remember my alphabet when I'm doing this. We recently had a lot of snow on the ground, and it just recently all melted, but we're actually getting a bunch more now, and it's really, really beautiful outside. But I am worried because it's fallen pretty quickly, so I'm hoping that the roads are safe for people traveling. Finding there are a lot of E's, which makes sense. E is used a lot. I also have this, which was part of a tag, and I believe it was actually a C on the tag, but to me, when it's separate from all the other letters, like it's very stylized, it looks more like it should be an E or a W. I know that's not actually what it was, but I have been a little bit up in the air about where I should categorize that because by itself, without the other stylized letters, it might not read properly. So I may just have to save that. I guess I could put it in, I have like a box for punctuation, so I guess I could put it in there. Maybe I'll just put it aside for now and then come back to that later. And if anyone's interested, I don't even know if you can hear the music in the background. I am playing music from Epidemic Sound in the background, and I do have an affiliate link listed below if you're interested in checking them out. It's been really, really beneficial for me using that to put music in my videos. So I really like it. And they have a lot of really cool, like chill songs and things like that that I've been sort of starting to try to collect some playlists to play during live videos. Also, I wanted to show you this. This is so pretty. I have a few letters from a calendar that are kind of like foiled, and I don't know if you can see it on the video, but it's catching the light. It's so pretty. Obviously, that won't translate very well in a zine, but it might be nice for an art journal page. Let me know if you recognize any of the fonts and you think you know like what things they might have been cut out from. There you go. I'm sitting at kind of a weird angle, so I'm not looking straight down like you are. So if you're sitting there frustrated that I'm not quickly putting it into the spot, that's why. You can see it much better than I can. Basically, I know a lot of people like to cut these and put them in the squares as they go, but I find that everything kind of flips over when I do that. Like if I cut over the square, and then they're all face down, and that's kind of harder for me to see which ones are in there. Now, this isn't my ideal situation for letters because it's kind of hard to grab them out, and you kind of have to take a whole pinch of letters out to find the one you like. But for now, I think it works really well. And like I said before, I'm starting to collect these more and more because I want to use them in zines, especially, but also art journal pages. As you'll see, I only have one Z, I only have a couple X's, and Q. I have no Q's, and no J's. Actually, I know that there's at least, I think, oh no, there is one J in there. Sorry, it was hiding. Usually you can only find J's if you find like an ad for jeans. It's just not used very often in things, but I'm going to keep scouring magazines to try to find it. Let me know if you have ideas for what types of magazines or boxes that I might find J's on. I guess Jolly Ranchers, if I could find a box with Jolly Ranchers, that would work well. And same with Q. I don't find a lot of that. Now I do have, I think I found some more Z's in here. I'll have to look through as we go. But what I was saying before is I prefer actually to cut out the letters separately and save them and then kind of do something like this where I can collect them all and put them in the different spots. Because then I can kind of just cut them at my desk and sort of sort them as I watch something or work on something else. And it doesn't take up as much space as trying to put this on my desk in front of me. I've been finding myself reaching to do this more and more often, especially when I'm stressed out, like just kind of tearing out a couple pages in a magazine and just kind of cutting letters out while I'm watching a show, or I mean, more often watching YouTube videos and especially listening to audiobooks. Right now, I've been listening to the Scythe series, the Arc of a Scythe. I have listened to that before, or actually, I've read it before, um, and it's one of my favorite book series. I'm actually going to turn down the music a little bit. Again, not sure if you can hear it, but it's a little loud on my end. Okay. So this is interesting. This is technically a B, but it totally could count as a Q, like a lowercase q. I wonder if I should try saving that. Maybe I should, since I don't have any Qs. Let's see. I think I'll put that in there for now. I can always take it back out if I need a B, but there's usually plenty of Bs to use. So this one right here is from a Fruit Roll-Ups box. Okay. I find this really relaxing. I like just kind of sitting here and sorting something. I've always liked sorting and categorizing things. If I'm feeling particularly stressed, it kind of like soothes my brain. There's a lot of E's. You can kind of start to see how letters are used in advertising and magazines and things like that, and how often certain letters are repeated. Okay, so that's a G. I'd like to hear if anybody else does this. Is this something you do for your own work? I actually got asked one time at a zine fest by the husband of someone who was working, was selling items at the zine fest, and said like, "Oh, do you have your own collection of ransom letters like she does?" And I said, "Yeah, actually I do." And it's kind of a funny thing to say and funny connection to make. So something I do when I have really little letters that I'm cutting out, if I have the ability to save a little extra, I like to save a bit of a tab. So this is a really small S. And I tried to save a tab at the top. I probably won't keep that when I'm gluing it down, but it makes it a little easier to handle it when I'm taking it out. So it saves me a little bit of effort on the front end. So I know this would go faster if I sorted them all out first, like in little piles, and then just put the whole pile in, but I just find it kind of relaxing to just kind of do this. And I have a number section and a punctuation section. So I do try to save those as well. Right now, I just have one square for each of those options, but I may end up getting a small box for all the different numbers if I start to collect a lot of them. I don't know how many numbers I'm going to be using at different times, but I may need to expand eventually. I also run into this problem where sometimes letters will look like numbers or numbers will look like letters. So I might save some of these aside and just kind of decide. And obviously, if I put it in here, I can use it for something else too. I'm just trying to make it quick and easy for when I'm sorting later and trying to actually make words or pages. And I'm always interested in hearing if people have suggestions for how to make this process more enjoyable or easier. I know there's a few ways I could make it easier on myself, but so far this is working okay. I am creating, I have a short filmed to talk about. You can see all the blue tape in here. That actually is because when I bought this, these are all removable, or at least a lot of them are. And all of my letters were sliding under and getting mixed up. And I was really worried because I thought that this wasn't going to work for letters, but I was able to go in there and kind of tape so that they won't slide. And so I do have a short filmed on how I did that. So hopefully that'll be coming out soonish. It all depends on my motivation and my energy levels. This is another one from a Fruit Roll-Ups box. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry if I'm sniffling. I recently have been getting over a cold. Luckily, it wasn't anything too crazy, but um, it just kind of has some leftover effects. Oops. I really haven't gone live all that much, and part of the reason for doing this today is just I'm just trying to slowly acclimate myself to doing it more often. I think it's a great way to chat with people and take some time and kind of let you get to know me and vice versa. Because when I'm posting a video, um, you get to know me a little bit, but we don't get to just kind of sit and chill, and it's more of a polished situation. Now, for some people may prefer that because I definitely cut out a lot of stumbling over my words in my more polished videos. But if you're cool with just hanging out, then this is the avenue that we can go down. I really like getting all these different fonts and colors and shapes and everything. I think it makes for some really satisfying options for making words. And getting the different sizes and things like that gives me a little bit of flexibility too, depending on if I'm making a larger zine or a small zine, or if I'm trying to fill up a full art journal page. But usually I try not to go much bigger than like this shape or this E that's in here, because I don't want to cover over too much of the other letters to make it hard to find what I'm looking for. I do have actually a collection of oversized letters that I will be just putting probably all of them into a Ziploc for right now. I don't have a lot of them, so I just figured I could save those in case, like, you know how sometimes in books they will do a really large letter and then finish the paragraph or something. It's just kind of like the beginning of the paragraph. I could use them for something like that. So I didn't really want to get rid of them, but they definitely don't fit in here. Oh, here's a 5. Put that in there. And actually, that looks similar to this. I think these are the same font, so I do think that's a 0. So I'm going to put that in there. And then we run into I looking a lot like exclamation points. So that could be either as well. But again, if it's in the I can always take one out and use it as an exclamation point if I need to. Now, some of them you can really tell, like, yes, this is meant to be an exclamation point, not an I. So I put it in there if that's the case. And I really could use that as an I in something too, if I kind of wanted it to be a little bit more stylized or turning it upside down. And then we run into capital I's that have no, I can't remember what it's called, the top and the bottom. Um, could also be an L, like a lowercase L, but I know it's an I from what I cut it out of, which was a Cheez-It box. So there's some flexibility with this. I can categorize things now, and I can always use them for other things later. Oh, there we go. There's a V. So I have a couple of V's, but it's nice to add some more because there's not that many. A lot of these are actually coming from magazines that I've had for a long time, really, really old magazines that I've kept mostly for cutting out pictures and things like that. But recently, as I've wanted to expand on these letters, I've been going through, and it's kind of nice because I use up pictures from magazines for collage, But then now I can look back and kind of look at the ads or the titles of articles and things like that and use them for this, when before I wasn't really using them for anything specific. There's another M. And here's a Y. I wasn't sure if this was going to fit very well. It still totally fits. Okay. Ugh, I love that. I love the white on the light blue, like the sky background. Super pretty. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I'm driving everybody crazy who can see it much better than I can. I'm also somewhat distracted, so that's my fault. Like I said, this is a process that I like to do to try to calm my mind down, but of course it's going everywhere anyway. There's another S. Here's another one that's could be an I or an exclamation point, but I'm pretty sure it was an I from the Cheez-It box. And it's a little hard to read it as an exclamation point, so I think that's a good place for it to keep it in with the I. T. Okay, there's an E. It's already starting to get dark. I know we're past the time for it to, now we're like getting into getting darker later and staying lighter longer, but it still feels like we have so much darkness. I don't mind the cold, but it's more the driving in the snow or ice or having to deal with not as much light that I don't like. Okay, I'm just gonna send a text back real quick. There we go. Okay. If anyone's watching the live and wants to comment, I'd love to hear the things that you like to do to unwind. Kind of like I like doing this or art journaling. Got a set of numbers here. I think this was from a calendar that said 2026 on it, so, and that 6 could also be a 9 as well. All right. Looks like we've been live for about 24 minutes now. I think that I'm going to wrap it up here. I just wanted to spend some time with you and kind of see how the live goes. And I definitely want to come back and do this more often. So if you're watching the replay on this and you're interested in watching in the future, let me know if you have any feedback on things you'd like me to talk about or things you'd like to see me doing. And just let me know what you thought about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Now I just have to figure out how to end this.